Have you ever wondered what it would be like to throw the old pigskin around and knock someone's head clean off their shoulders, or hit them so hard that they take a nap that lasts forever? I'm here to answer your burning question. Can you beat Fallout 4 as an NFL superstar? Start this off, I'll set some boundaries. I cannot use any weapon other than my fist or a football. That's it. No guns or melee items. You tell me the last time you saw someone get beat to death with a baseball bat in football. That's the wrong sport. You're thinking of golf. I named myself Pavement because this is what I imagine what happens after playing football on the pavement and getting tackled into it. My special points are kind of scattered. Players in the NFL normally have a variety of everything, mainly being strong, so I went with primarily strength, and everything else was just extra. I addressed my biggest mistake. The bombs fell. I abandoned my wife and child. Got to see a pretty fireworks show. They froze me. The world was not yet ready for Pavement, and my wife died. After 200 years, the NFL draft finally called my name. I played with some roaches, grabbed a playbook, and then left the vault. Before heading off to achieve my dreams, I headed home. Codsworth is there. He expects me to befriend him. I didn't. Fuck the shiny metal bastard. Instead, I grabbed the special book, added a new point to one of my specials, and kicked rocks in the other direction. I then came across a gas station and a presumably friendly dog. But remembering what Michael Vick had done, I steered clear of that dog. I got sucked good by some bugs, killed every raider I saw, and then chose to skip helping Preston for now. Without my primary weapon, I would surely die against the Deathclaw. I headed in the direction of Drumlin Diner, where I tried to confront Wolfgang. I got my body riddled with holes and settled on ending it peacefully. I then realized I couldn't afford the football. Why in God's name is it so expensive? Inflation is a bitch. Realizing I had no money, I headed back to Preston. I tackled and beat the crap out of every raider before Preston showered me in his golden praise. I hacked the computer because I am a lot smarter than the dumb fuck Sturgis. I grabbed the armor, and this part became a bitch. Raiders aren't the issue here. The Deathclaw is a different story. Remembering how to run away, I hid in a building, swinging every so often at the Deathclaw while Preston tried to pop shots off at it. After 30 minutes of hide and don't die, the Deathclaw took a long nap. With Preston no longer bitching at me, I headed to Sanctuary. I scrapped everything in my vicinity, and in the honor of Mitten Squad, I began building fence posts. I leveled up twice and went back to the diner. I bought 2 explosive footballs and 7 normal. I then tested them on Wolfgang, and let me tell you, Wolfgang has never looked more handsome. I then continued to Diamond City, my resolve renewed and multiple footballs banging around in my back pockets. I chose to discover both the police station and Green Tech Genetics for later and kept going. I got beat up by a crab and then crushed its tiny skull, and finally made it to Diamond City. Then sold every item off my back for a few shekels and 2 fault footballs. After that, I did Eye Candy's interview and brought her with me. She could take the bullets while I throw the footballs. Now, to see off about a robot who had lost its connection to the Wi-Fi in the underground subway. But before we could do that, there was a commotion in the town square. 2 brothers fighting over who was the robot and who was the real man. I stepped in and put the madness to rest and quickly realized that I am not that accurate. Then, my game crashed. I then realized my mistake. I killed the wrong brother. I will not make that same mistake again. I was then praised by the guards for my swift thinking and removed the clothing of Riley's brother while he watched, unmoving. What a creepy bastard. Ellie then tells us where to find Nick, and off we go. On our way, I killed some puppies, raided some idiot's home, blew up a raider, and stuffed his corpse in a trash can. I died and had to do it all over and over and over again. And finally, everyone died, and it was time to save Nick Valentine. This was going to prove no easy task. Every triggerman had one thing I didn't, and that was a brain. Even with footballs, it would take more than I had to kill just one. And unfortunately, not being Inspector Gadget, I couldn't fire my fist out and hit them from that far away. By the time I was ready to reach Dino, I was let down to a few footballs and healing items, so I did what any smart man would do. I f***ing left. I bought more healing items. I discovered you don't have to buy helmets. There's one in East Boston High School, sitting, waiting for someone to don it once more. I dropped everything. I ran as fast as my little legs could carry me and began beating every raider mercilessly with my bare hands. I got killed a few times. The raiders' bullets tickled my bones good, and I got my helmet. Killed Bosco. I decided that this was a perfect time to go and rescue Nick. I acquired 8 Vault-Tec footballs from Arturo, and it was time to get my boy. The few triggermen who were left behind proved to be no match for a quality leather football. Dino was lecturing Nick about something. but coach called a play. I wanted to kill Dino with one shot, but God had other plans for him, and those plans were him getting ruthlessly beaten by me. I rescued Nick, and then brought the wrath of Peyton Manning on this small group of triggermen. I then failed, killing Skinny Malone with a single shot. That name really meant that he was fat, and could take a lot more damage than I thought, and I ended up beating the little bitch to death. After rescuing Nick, I proceeded to do his interview. I then decided, f that. We're not doing that right now. We can search Kellogg's house in a minute. Let's go and help dance. Synths are metal. Leather footballs do almost nothing to them. It took about 4 to 5 footballs to do any kind of damage to them. I proceeded to kook dance with a giant candle. That's glitched out when I tried to throw this football. I don't know why it's been doing that. It takes my action points, but it doesn't throw the football. Then I killed the rest of the synths with my bare hands, and proceeded to get something useless. And off I went to Corvega, for reasons I don't remember. I guess I thought that the settlers at 10 Pines Bluff would want me to deal with the raiders there, and I'd earn some easy experience. I proceeded to throw this dead raider from the top floor, and I decided to change the rules. Brass knuckles go on your fist. They become an extension of them and add a bit more damage to your fist. So like Dick Butkus, and no, I'm really not joking, that's his actual name, he was a player for the Chicago Bears, I wore brass knuckles. They allowed me to pop body parts as if they were balloons, and made using my fist a better alternative when low on footballs. Jared died how he lived, pitifully. And then I looted everything and everyone there, their belongings, fueling my addiction to leather footballs. I then proceeded to 10 Pines Bluff, and they didn't care. They wanted me to clear another place. The Bureau of Alcohol, Drugs, Tobacco, Firearms, and Lasers. I knew there was a mini nuke here, and I had to have it. It was around this time that I discovered a game changer. I figured out that you can craft footballs. They're under the grenades tab on the chemistry stations. After realizing that, I took a shot of whiskey, ate a low-fat Klondike bar, and I went to work. I scrapped the little leather armor I had. I then bought Arturo's entire stock of leather armor and destroyed it to make 3 footballs. On my way to the BAD TFL, I used a nuclear football to end an argument. I then began my assault on the raiders at the BAD TFL. My goal was to not help the settlers. My goal was to kill every raider and steal as much leather as possible. Sparta was a few levels above me, but it was nothing that a good-placed football couldn't handle. She must have been allergic to leather, since she died like a bitch. I killed the rest of the raiders and looted their corpses, grabbed my mini nuke and made their leather armor into footballs, and then leveled up. I also went to the combat zone. I wanted to originally get Kate as a follower too. I killed everyone there, grabbed a mini nuke, and decided that having 2 followers was cheating. I then discovered Fort Hagen for later. By this point, I had about 23 normal footballs and 6 Vault Tech footballs. It was time to go back to Nick in Kellogg's house. Dog meat sniffed a stick, and I left him behind as I fast traveled across the Commonwealth. I got killed here more than once, then ran past the synths. I threw one of my explosive footballs, and I killed about 6 of them. After walking through Fort Hagen, I finally found the bastard, and I had a present for him. I used one of my prized nuclear footballs and eradicated him. The bald fuck never knew it was coming. I fished in his brain and saw the big balloon of the New England Patriots. I was then told to go to the memory den in Good Neighbor. When I arrived there, I was shaken down. In return, I blew up his brain with my fist, much to Hancock's amusement. We plugged Nick into a toaster, and I played around in Kellogg's memories. There were a lot of bad things in here, and then I threatened to hit Nick with a nuclear football when he decided to f with me. I decided now was the best time to greet the Brotherhood of Steel, and get some free power armor. The main reason for this being 4 possible mini-nukes that I could acquire. You see, after the completion of Shadow of Steel, 1 spawns on top of the police station. After Show No Mercy, 3 spawn in the underbelly of the Pridwin. After a quick ride, I listened to the sad man, speed ran, meeting everyone, and got my orders to kill mutants at 4 strong. Everyone knew I was the best choice. I could throw footballs good. Before going, I searched the airport for its single mini-nuke. It was lonely and needed someone to caress it. My game crashed and I found the mini-nuke. I got in the vertibird and quickly realized my mistake. I cannot fire the minigun. I'm only allowed to use footballs and my fist. So after some time and thinking, I made an executive decisions. Since this part of the quest, and I'm forced to fire the minigun, I will fire the minigun. I killed the behemoth and used my footballs and hands to kill the rest. Power armor has no animation for footballs, so they fire like a normal single shot gun. I grabbed the Fort Strong key and Tom Brady'd the rest of the super mutants, grabbed the 2 mini nukes and left. Before anything else, I went and grabbed 3 more mini nukes from the main deck. Our next step was the Glowing Sea, and finding Virgil without getting brutally ripped in half, long ways, by a Deathclaw. On my way to the Glowing Sea, I accidentally pissed off a sentry bot, but managed to outsmart it. I then sent Bambi to Jesus. This is not a Disney movie. I then reached the edge of the Glowing Sea. The glowing sea is the most dangerous area in the entire Commonwealth. While making footballs harder to throw, the power armor I wore would give me all the protection I'd need against it. I didn't plan on fighting here. It turns out that sneaking in power armor is a lot more effective than I thought it'd be, as the Deathclaw never saw me looking him dead in the face. Piper was not as lucky, and in turn it led me to use a nuclear football to end it quickly. I spoke with the crazy woman and found out where Virgil's gooning cave was. We then needed to kill a courser. I was off to Green Tech Genetics. But before that, I needed to restock on weapons. I bought what I could and now had 10 normal and 6 Vault-Tec footballs. Green Tech Genetics is filled with gunners who are very profound with using guns. Bullets hurt a lot, but it's nothing that some drugs can't solve. I also acquired a new helmet. I then decided, fuck this interaction, this bitch dies. It was time to follow the rails. The railroad can break open this chip. It's easy when you've played this game as much as I had to get in this place. Tinker Tom did his magic, and I left this place. The next time I'd come here, I'd kill every last one of them. It was back to Virgil, and he gifted me the teleporter schematics. I chose the Brotherhood for this playthrough. I wanted to kill the railroad and the Institute. I got help with the schematics and built the teleporter. It's been a long time since I've actually played this game to beat it, and it felt weird. I stepped into the teleporter and found myself inside the Institute. I found my biggest mistake alive and well. He reacted as I expected him to, but I knew this was him. The old man was also thrown into the pavement as well. Pavement Jr., but just as beautiful as his daddy. I was all for the little shit until he called my wife collateral damage. I knew then and there could only be one pavement, but I would play the long game and catch him off guard. One thing everyone shared in common in the Institute was that they were an absolute to all the sense they've made. Kinda like the old people on Capitol Hill. I found Madison Lee and convinced her that the Brotherhood would never lie to her and that she could free the Commonwealth with us. I reported to Maxson and Ingram, and Phase 2 was now in effect. It was time to fix Tom Brady. After many seasons, arthritis had rendered him useless, but that's where I came in. Prosthetics and new parts would make him whole again. I went to the hospital, not for any injuries, but to get a magnet and kill everything there. Also, I stopped saying when I was buying footballs a long time ago. There was no reason to keep talking about buying them over and over again. I watched a war between mutants and synths. I don't think the synths won. The hospital was full of mutants. Most I'd walked directly past, but I didn't want to waste any more time. I ran in, drugged myself, and killed a few mutants, and made out like a bandit with my magnet. I built the actuators and spoke to Stubbs. She wants me to go to the glowing sea, as if one trip wasn't enough already. I made my way towards the bomb facility from the crater of Adam. After a lot of walking and dodging Deathclaws, I found Sentinel's site. The place was riddled with ghouls and Brother Henry, who took 3 times to get persuaded, and I didn't have to fight anyone. I found a mini-nuke and let Adam's wrath take care of this glowing one. I returned to Ingram and it was time. Liberty Prime was back online. However, there was a new problem that needed solving. Dance is a synth, and in the Brotherhood, synths are not allowed. So like the Cowboys should have done to Tony Romo a long time ago, I had to put him down. Dance had run off to Listing Point Bravo, and off I went. However, much like I imagined Tony Romo did, Dance appealed to my heart. I don't think he deserved to die. I couldn't bring myself to kill him. Maxson was not happy, and it's how I imagined the owner of the Cowboys was when the general manager re-signed Tony Romo for another shit season. However, I have a silver tongue, and I was able to get the man one more season. Piper then needed to speak to me. I had managed to romance her despite looking like this. Despite losing my wife, I knew there was one thing I had to do. I fucked Piper, and with some post-nut clarity, it was time to talk to Captain Kells. The railroad needed to die. They were a threat to us, like Eli Manning was to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I traveled to Old North Church and dismantled the railroad, much like when the Washington Commanders did when they hired Dan Schneider. We know what you did, Dan. No one will ever forget. The railroad are what I imagined it would be like if the military traveled back in time to fight cavemen. They have nothing. The only real challenge here was Glory, the only present killing machine in the entire railroad, but not even she is immune to a nuclear football. Desdemona was a complete f***ing joke. After completion, it was finally time to head to Mass Fusion. The big star, Liberty Prime, needed a beryllium agitator. The synths proved useless as always and strong to my footballs, so I beat them to death. The hazmat suit made getting this 10 times easier. Now the enemies here were going to be tricky. There's a sentry bot and 2 assaultrons. I ended up using 1 nuclear football and my Vault-Tec footballs to put them all down. I returned to Ingram and it was time. I plugged in the big cheese. Tom Brady lived again. I decided to follow him, despite Mitten Squad's screams in the back of my brain. He throws nukes like football, and after not trying to beat this game in a long time, I wanted to see it again. Liberty Prime is a goddamn menace. When nothing was moving anymore, Liberty Prime tore the earth open and we filed into the Institute. I decided to leave my armor outside. This was the final time I was going into the Institute. I wanted to do it with my own eyes. Maxson gave me our final play. Blow up the Institute. An easy formation, scorched earth. Everything down here, despite the scents, were squishy and blew up relatively easy with footballs. I even fist fought a gorilla. But it was time to confront him. I knew from our first meeting, he was my biggest mistake. I decided that one game of catch was the best way to go. Alright. Last game of catch, son. Catch the ball. And he died. I planted the reactor bomb and it was time to kick rocks. But before we could leave, there was one more issue. There was a child claiming to be my son. I didn't believe the child. He didn't look like how I did. And I left the little bastard. Without any other wait, I pressed the big red button and sort of beat Fallout 4 as an NFL superstar. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. If this is your first time here, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed. If you didn't enjoy this video, leave me some tips in the comments. I really enjoyed working on a video structured like this, and I cannot wait to do it again. As always, have a great day.